No, we're gonna start off with the actual ships. Shikishima. Shikishima is basically a strong A tier. Where the hell is Shikishima? Strong A tier. Shikishima though scales. What shit? Where's my Shikishima? There's too many ships on this goddamn list, isn't there? Refresh first. Oh, it wasn't even here. Oh my god, this guy who makes this list is even trying. Okay, can it scroll up? Hello? 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 Okay, I can place it here. Shikishima is kind of strong A tier. However, this is it worth buying for steel? And if you have Yamato, Shikishima is kind of like, honestly, if you have steel, also if you have the Yamato and you're strapped for steel, buying the Shikishima gets you a Yamato hull. You already have that. A vulnerable citadel. Yep, Yamato hull. Overmatching guns. You already have that. Long range. Yep, same thing. Yeah, that's pretty much it. You basically get, it's a side grade from the Yamato. You get better AA and secondaries, but in return you give up shell weight because you only have 6 guns. They punch, they sound great, they're awesome in many ways, but spending steel on that if you have the Yamato, it's not gonna rock your world. Like, whoa, Shikishima is so much more awesome compared to Yamato. It's... yeah. If you don't have the Yamato, Shiki is here. If you have it, it's here. So we'll put it into B as kind of a compromise. Like, it's a good ship. It's a strong ship. It has great gun sounds. It's fun to play because the guns are very rewarding. But it's a Yamato side. That's it. It's a Yamato side. Bourgogne. Well, Bourgogne is S tier in terms of is it worth your steel? Where the shit is Bourgogne? Like, Bourgogne still struggles more and more as the game goes on. Where does dude? There's too many. I wish I could get one with just steel ships right now, but tier 10s, tier 10s, tier 10s, tier 10s. Where is it? They'll tell me you forgot the Bourgogne. There. Aha, found it. Bourgogne goes straight into S tier. Bourgogne gets S tier for multiple reasons. You're not going to find another ship that plays like it. It plays unique. It's more of a cruiser than a battleship. It has 380mm guns that punch hard. It's 380 sounds like a weakness, but you can just expert load or HE in there, and you have a reload booster. So honestly, Bourgogne is just, it's good. It highly rewards skill. It's fun to play, and it's a unique experience, and fundamentally it's a strong ship. S tier because in terms of value, absolutely worth getting. It's more of a mega cruiser. It's kind of the battleship version of Henry IV, basically. So Bourgogne is great. However, if you run into a lot of overmatch, Bourgogne is rough to play. And Bourgogne is a battleship that scales much more heavily with player skill than other battleships. In many battleships, you can sit nose in like an idiot for a long time and survive. Bourgogne dies very quickly if you do that. It doesn't have the health pool. In many others, you can kind of just left-click ships in general and do massive damage. Bourgogne can't. You don't have overmatch. You need to find angles. You need to create flanks. You need to do things. You need to basically do a lot of things to make it work. So Bourgogne, it's hard skill scaling ship, but if you master it, it's probably one of the most fun battleship experiences you can have in tier 10. Very, very strong, very unique. So in terms, is it worth your steel? Absolutely. Like, you're probably not gonna, there's no other ship that really plays like it. So that one gets easily thrown out there. But special thing, if there's people that overmatch you, the ship gets rougher, much rougher to play. And Wargaming are adding more and more overmatching ships. In particular, if you end up with a bunch of incomparables and there's people throwing HE and there's sap, all this shit that ignores your armor, the low HP pool of the Bourgogne hurts. But yeah, absolutely S tier when it comes to investment. Austin. Oh my god, Austin is such a pile of junk. Holy moly. So, what is Austin's gimmick? Well, you can make really, really cool YouTube vids where you scream about how overpowered it is, but in actuality, its effectiveness relies on a short burst when you have sap loaded, someone gives you broadside and you pop reload booster, and even then, it's not necessarily, it doesn't do that much. In terms of like damage output, it's basically meme tier. Oh, there we go. In terms of like consistent damage output, I mean, where the shit is our Austin? Here's our Austin. You sit at Moskva levels. You sit at Moskva levels of HE. You have the 32mm plating. You can sometimes stroll with. You lack utility. You lack range. It's a ship for the funny Twitch clips. It's the clip for the funny Twitch clips and all of that. But in terms of actual effectiveness, in terms of consistency, the ship is just bad. It's just a bad ship. It's the least scary ship for me to face in a battle. Like, what if I'm not gonna give him broadside and he's just forced to sit there and spam his HE at me? He's gonna be doing so little to me that I don't really even care. I think the fire chance also, the fire chance was actually surprisingly low. So despite being a light cruiser, you have less fire starting capacity than a Stalingrad. It's like, hello? It's just a Smolensk with sap and without smoke. No, a Smolensk starts fires like a god. Smolensk, look, can you see this? 17.1. That's a Smolensk. Shit, the Worcester starts 18.8. Like, they're all monstrous fire starters, but this thing just, it doesn't start any fires. It doesn't do anything. It gets that one burst thing, and then it's like a decoration. So, and it's one of those squishy cruisers that are super fun to smash in Elving, because it just goes in like 2 shots. I wish I could start 25s per minute in my voice stream. So this thing is just Stalingrad is still Stalingrad, honestly. Is there any ship that really plays like it? Not really. Like Petru tries, or Petru plays a different way, but nothing can really. Stalingrad is still the ultimate bullshit fantasy gimmick guns in the game. Stalingrad is kind of when Wargaming tried, hey, what if we give these guns everything? What if we give these guns everything? I don't put it up here because there's like Moskva and Petra that are kind of similar-ish in playstyle that can compete. So it's not Bourgogne tier, but Stalingrad actually has weaknesses and so forth. Like it's still, but the guns alone is why Stalingrad is here. Stalingrad guns are. It's this weird wargaming fantasy where they just decided, okay, we're gonna take this shell and we're somehow gonna give it absurdly good characteristics. Every good characteristic in the game. Incredibly fast shells, stupidly fast shells with basically no air drag, but the fuse threshold will be very small and the fuse time will be very small as well. So you can use it against every target in the game, including like Smolenskas and stuff. The gun caliber is also going to be 310mm. You can overmatch every light cruiser in the game. The penetration angles will be improved, so you'll have improved pen angles. They don't even need to give you that much broadside. And for some reason we're going to give it 2.65 sigma, which is by far the highest sigma in the game. I think the closest that comes is like 2.1, 2.2. I'm not even sure if there's a 2.2, but it has 2.65 sigma. And all of this combined means that, well, like if you look at, let's say we put cruisers and battleships here in the tier, and we take penetration, and we look at like penetration from, let's say, 15 kilometers, you'll notice that among these, you get Stalingrad. There's like Bourgogne, Cristoforo Colombo, and then you have Stalingrad. Despite the gun caliber only being 305, it still sits here with the battleships. 2.2 on Puerto Rico. And the shells are absurd. Can we look at flight time? Let's see, flight time. Well, there's a certain standard when it comes to which ships have good flight times in World of Warships. Petroslava, Stalingrad, Moskva. I mean, it is what it is, but obviously this is another one of the reasons why these guns stand out. The shells are hilariously fast, easy to hit, and they just smash. So guns alone places our Stalingrad friend up here when it comes to worth buying for steel. Basically 2 years ago, or 2 years ago, it would have been S+. When it came out, it was hilariously overpowered. A lot of people who got it tried to argue it wasn't, but it was blatantly overpowered and defined the game for years to come, especially in comp. But these days, especially with the removal of fire prevention and significantly more counters being available, it's much more manageable. Ragnar. See, I've already ranked Ragnar as a super strong ship. And I would probably rank it again as a super strong ship, something like S, but it's kind of boring to play. Ragnar is kind of boring to play. It's super strong. It's overpowered, don't get me wrong. It dumpsters DDs left, right, the center. You can citadel many cruisers in it and so forth. But it kind of is the one of the most one-dimensional DDs in the game. You kind of sit angled and you farm. And you farm and you farm and farm. You occasionally go in a radar and you farm and you farm and you farm. And it's stupidly boring. In fact, it only makes it up this high on the list. Like, in terms of gameplay, honestly, it's like a C or D tier. But it's just so stupidly strong at what it does that when it comes to is it worth it for steel, yeah, we put it up here. That's basically it. Plymouth. I think, honestly, I think it's significantly less fun and probably worse radar minotaur. Like, maybe a C? Weak B? No, maybe a C. That would probably be. This is my, when people ask me, is it worth buying for steel? This is my, is it worth buying? This isn't the relative strength list. This isn't the relative strength list. This is just, is it worth buying? And I don't know. I don't think Plymouth really, it's, when you can play radar minotaur, that's so much more fun. Why play Plymouth? It's easier to play, I guess, but it's kind of boring. But yeah, this would probably be my, when people ask, is it worth buying for steel? This would probably be like the rate. Like something like, this shouldn't be like, this should be something like absolutely worth it. Maybe. Nah. Avoid. That's probably more. Oh, is Incomparable? We forgot Incomparable. Incomparable is like S plus tier. Where the shit isn't. Incomparable is pretty fun. Here it is. We'll probably put Incomparable up here with worth it. I think it's a bit more boring to play than Bourgogne because you lack the flexibility of the Bourgogne. You can't push in, you can't brawl. Basically, if someone torpedoes you, aircraft strikes you, any sort of brawling situation, the clumsiness, the vulnerability just makes you but you're fast, you're stealthy, your guns punch. You as a long range BB, Incomparable, or mid to long range because you want to abuse your stealth, Incomparable is very, very good. But in terms of gameplay, it can't compete with Bourgogne if you ask me. You are broken. Thanks, Wargaming. What do you mean? The speed boost bug? Oh yeah, shit. It's bugged as well. But honestly, that doesn't change too much about the gameplay. That doesn't change too much about the gameplay. There you go. Coal, is it worth it for coal and is it worth it for steel?